welcome to another episode of Cherie, the alternative TV show and the avant-garde that devoted to art, beauty, photography, music, and men and women, sexual fantasy, and much more. My name is Cherie Laurent, and I am going to be your host for tonight's episode. So sit, relax, and let's enjoy the journey. Come on. As we are going through the journey, last week we had the journey number 5, when I unfolded the truth, the good and the bad, the up and the down, and the secret behind creating the musical theater, the 1001 Arabian Night. Tonight we're going to tell the rest of the story about what happened for the industry night and the 1001 Arabian Night. Last week I explained how I managed as a foreigner coming to the country with no relative and no contact and not a lot of funding to manage to put this show together. I have 40 dancers, I have $82,000 worth of props, costumes, location, advertisement, and I managed to get 1,000 people to this show as a start for my life in Australia. Last week I shared my life experience and what I did to find 40 dancers performing in my musical theater, the 1001 Arabian Night, and other musical theater for free. In the same time I shared my secret, how I managed to find the costume, and it was a really good story and good lesson to learn. And if you want to hear about it again, you could watch journey number 5. But by the end of it, I managed, with the goodness of people and the help of people, to find a costume and props, and was an amazing experience with a lady called Monique from a place called Planet Egypt in Parramatta in Sydney that helped me with all the costume and all the props I needed for the show. I was hoping by telling my story last week that you guys gonna learn something from my life experience. Number 1 was how I created everything I can and found inside myself things that I could use to give to and offer to others to get in return what I needed from them. So I needed people to help me in the show, and I needed dancers. So I used my skills that I learned through life with modeling and acting and performing to share it, and photography, to share it with those people and give it to them. So this was number 1. As number 2, the other moral I learned, and I wanted to share it with you, it's keep believing in the goodness in people, and if one door closed, 1 million windows gonna be open. In the story I told last week, there's some people who let us down and pulled off the show, pulled out basically just 2 days before the show, after we sold the tickets and we've got the location and the dancers. We didn't have costume, we didn't have props, and then we found solution. So it's about believing. And from believing, tonight we're going to talk about other things, and I'm going to tell you a lots of other stories behind this beautiful show that we created. You have no idea when you put something together, involve 40 people and more, the amount of energy, the amount of happiness, the amount of love and desire and life in general, with everything in it, will be involved and we will be invited to our life. So tonight I will be telling you more about that. Now, one thing I didn't tell you, we start by telling you how I found the models and the dancers. Also, I told you how I found the costume and the props, but I didn't tell you something very important. To create musical theater or films or a short film, you need something very important as a start, and this thing is the 1001 Arabian Night. Was only one show from 12 shows I created, 1 month between each one of them. And the reason I start with the 1001 Arabian Night, as I said in the past, it's the Persian version of Shakespeare. It has every emotion that a human being could experience: love, desire, hate, anger, pain, revenge. Everything you think about, you could find it in the 1001 Arabian Night, which make it a great story for any theater production, ballet or a movie. That was number one. Number two, why did I choose it? Because it's an exotic story and came from the far, where desert, veils, horses, love, desire, passion, all the things that the Western culture love in a movie and fantasize about. They're not used to it. They are different for them. So I think will be more interesting for them than choosing another story they know before. That's why I chosen these stories. And to make it more exotic and more different, I put little bit twist on it. I put the Arabian Night with the Russian composer with the classic music, because people are used to belly dancers in restaurants, in weddings, in cafes, but they're not used to them doing belly dance on classic music. And I think that's what made the show very successful, and I managed to get 1,000 people in the first night. So that's how I made it. There is something about the 1001 Arabian Night. Number one, it is not an Arab story. It's actually two books and it's written in Persian. So it's part of the Persian culture. And because I born in Iraq during the war and my family originally from a Persian background, my mom was familiar with those stories. And I think lots of you are familiar with lots of the stories, like the genies and Aladdin and the flying carpet and the magic lamp. These all stories.
Would you like to be touched by an angel? Then subscribe to onlyfans.com/Cherie777, where you'll enjoy the most exquisite art, music, photos, videos, where fantasies, dreams, illusions, and mirage are all merged together. Subscribe now and enjoy the world beyond your imagination.
Coming back from the memory of my childhood growing up in Iraq with the war, this is the stories that my mom used to basically tell us, me and my brothers and my sisters, try to comfort us from the shelling and the bomb and the madness of war, and try to let us go to sleep. And I grew up with those stories. Now, as you could see, we've got the story, we've got the music, we've got the dancers, we've got the talent, and we've got the costume and the props, but we don't have the location. I will tell you what I did to get the location, and maybe you will learn something. Now I'm going to share with you what I've done to find a venue. So I made my research and I found a venue called Paddington RSL in Surrey Hills in Sydney. And through my research I found out that this venue has a beautiful space, theater, light, tables, spotlights, sound system, everything I need for a musical theater. And at that time, as I mentioned, we didn't have a lots of budget. We have little bit. We sold some ticket by that time, so we have around $600, $500, something like that. So I found out that this venue did not have a lots of basically customers. So I used my charms and I walked into the manager and I made an offer. And my offer was, if you give us this venue one night a month, I promise you I could fill it with up to 1,000 people. This 1,000 people going to be buying your drinks and going to be getting more people to the venue during the week and during the month. So for full year, you're going to have 1,000 and more people coming to the venue. You're going to have free advertising and publicity that I will give you. In return, you will give me the venue in a reasonable price because we don't have the price that you're asking for. So it will work for us and it will work for you. And thanks God, the manager said yes. So we managed to find a venue to perform. On top of that, he was so kind to us that allowed us to do all the rehearsal for free because the venue was empty. So we managed to get all the days to rehearse, which is 2 weeks before the show. And from now on, it becomes our venue for every show we did. And that's how I managed to get beautiful venue to our show. And the moral of the story is, if I went and approached a big venue that's already successful and has a lots of people, they probably will say no. So I start something from the start. And now from on, it becomes our venue. So every show for the full year, every month, we launched it in Paddington RSL, and we had up to 1,000, sometimes more, to be filled, the venue. And all these people bought drinks and talked about the venue, so it created a lot of business for them. So I helped them and they helped me. So the point is, if I approached a big, very well-established venue with massive amount of customers, they probably will say no, because they have the business. So I have to create another venue and work hard to make it the venue and use it for my advantage. And that's an advice how you could get around your dreams to make it come true. And if you don't have the budget, use your charm and your talent. Good girl, turn back.
The Australian TV legend and singing sensation Cherie Laurent is releasing her single, Good Girl Turn Bad, available on iTunes and Spotify. Download your copy today.
thought never please. She used her sexy body with so much ease. With just one look, men will turn to freeze. She's wild and horny, rolling in cash.
Would you like to be touched by an angel? Then subscribe to onlyfans.com/Cherie777, where you'll enjoy the most exquisite art, music, photos, videos, where fantasies, dreams, illusions, and mirage are all merged together. Subscribe now and enjoy the world beyond your imagination.
If you want to create a musical theater, you need at least 6 months to 1 year rehearsal and post-production. In our case, we didn't have this option, as we have to create a new musical theater every month. Every month, a new story, a new choreography, new music, and new training for the show in the end of the month. On top of that, one of our biggest problems that it is unpaid jobs. So you cannot really force people to do it, because people have to do it because they love it and enjoy it. And because you're dealing with so many unprofessional people, so there was lots of egos to deal with. So you have to be hard and kind and diplomatic to get what you want and get the people do what you want happily. So you have to get the people doing it because they enjoy it, because they love it, because they're having fun of it. You can't force them. In entertainment, you could not force people to do things unhappily, unless they're paying big money and it still is not going to reach the audience. You need them to perform doing something they love and happy about it. And because my talent were all picked up from a modeling agency and from the street and from website, they didn't have experience. So everyone wanted to be the lead, and everyone wanted to be the star, and everyone wanted to be in the middle of the stage. So to control all these people and make them happy and try to basically make them do what you want was a big challenge about dealing with those people and managing them. But then working with those people gave me a lots of experience and lots of tricks to use behind my sleeve to be able to have a good, happy relationship with all of them and make them give me the best they can. And in 2 weeks, some people were really freaking out. Some of the talent have panic attacks. Some of them did not want to go on the stage at the night. Some of them left, and lots of them basically were shaking behind the curtain, did not want to do the performance at that day. So I have to deal with all this. On top of that, some of them wanted 6 months to train or 1 year to train. And I just said, we don't have the leisure of 6 months or 1 year. We have 2 weeks, twice training a day. And if you miss any one of them, you're out. And by the end of it, when I was performing with them on the stage, I was hearing lots of cheering and lots of clapping, and in my mind I thought, these are the models and the talent friends, they just try to make them feel good. But when I watched the footage after that of the show, I found every one of them gave 110. They gave the best in front of people on the stage. I would like to end the show, as I say all the time, let's try harder to make the world a better place. More kindness, more compassion, more love, more care. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. Take care of yourself and the people you love and the people around you. That's all for tonight. I look forward to see you next week. In the meantime, you could download my music on any internet music outlet like Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, whatever. Just type Cherie Laurent and you will get the album. You could join my Instagram account and you could join me on LinkedIn too. I look forward to see you next week. Take care, have fun, and be kind to each other. I love you. Bye.
Good girl, turn back.
The Australian TV legend and singing sensation Cherie Laurent is releasing her single, Good Girl Turned Bad, available on iTunes and Spotify. Download your copy today.
But never please. She used her sexy body with so much ease. With just one look, men will turn to freeze. She's wild and horny, rolling in cash.
Would you like to be touched by an angel? Then subscribe to onlyfans.com/Cherie777, where you'll enjoy the most exquisite art, music, photos, videos, where fantasies, dreams, illusions, and mirage are all merged together. Subscribe now and enjoy the world beyond your imagination.